Oh man. So if you missed last week, I Brandon is out. My producer and friend of the channel, 2GTBK, he's out. He usually runs the show behind the scenes, right? And when the and I have lots of bad ideas. I think we would all agree that I have lots of bad ideas. In that intro there, when I made that and showed it to him, he was like, "No, that's no, that's a no for me, dog." And I'm like, "Well, he's not here now, so I still this is the second time it's been there with a little rocket ship flying off and then landing back in my hand. I think it's pretty good. I think it's pretty good. I think it's gonna stay. I think so. What can I say? It's anyway. Hey everybody, it's a Tuesday, and I am your intrepid host, Rich Tesla. This is the 2GT Homelab Hour, episode 67. It's the dog days of summer. You know what I'm saying? It's some places, kids are back to school. Oregon kids aren't back to school yet. Oregon's at one of the latest school starts. So, and the chats here, got Anna Talks, Manchuchu, Jason just popped in. Yeah, it's Jason. I don't know what to say. It's the power of the YouTube. Sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. But anyway, this show is all about hanging out with like-minded geeks and talking about Homelab stuff. If you've got questions about any of the videos, ask them here. If you got any general Homelab questions, you want to bounce some things off in. Kevin, welcome. And I kind of lost my train of thought there. I'm allowed to be a little ditzy, I guess, sometimes. Anyway, yeah, so this is this place to hang out and talk about Homelab, and talk about the videos that I make and all that kind of good stuff, and just hang out with like-minded nerds and talk about tech stuff. I get 2 times a show to talk about the community, the heart and soul of this, and we have a Discord. It's freely available to everybody. There's no paywalls. You want to go hang out. It's a great group of people, and then after the live show here, approximately an hour from now, we will all go hop over there and hop in and just kind of hang out and have a kind of talk over each other and just kind of it's someone said, and I'm not going to name names because that person's in the Discord, but they basically made a comment about how the live show is basically group therapy, and that was like, oh, I mean, like, oh, right here, oh, right in the heart, I dig that. I love hearing about everybody's, I love, there's sometimes we have some heated discussions and arguments. Sometimes we have really good quality conversations. Sometimes we get to see explosive data centers in liquid, and so all that kind of good stuff. So check it out. It's free to everybody. Hang out, have a good time. And like I said, Brandon, and the last bit of housekeeping here is my producer. Brandon is still on holiday. I think this is his last week. I am a terrible friend, and I don't remember how long his vacation is, but I do believe it was 2 weeks because he's not here today, and this is the second week. So I'm assuming he's back next week. What can I say? Anyway, let's start with I like to kind of like hang out and tell you guys a personal story. And this one is actually kind of personal, kind of not, but it oh yeah, I forgot to turn on the background music. Again, I'm not pulling my weight around here. There we go. There we got a little bit of background music. Yeah, okay. Levix, welcome. All right. So you guys probably remember, this is the personal thing here, but you guys probably remember this guy here. I built this server, super micro server, quad node. It's been its earlier part of its life as like a Nutanix virtual host. I know that because, I just knew that from the server was. And, each one of those four bays there that you can see, I'm pointing over there, is a entire separate server, right? 2 sockets. I put Xeon Gold 6132s in it. It's got 3264, 128 gigs of RAM per node. And, it's been a great box. 25 gig connected networking. It's a nice box. But I never really got the value out of it that I had kind of hoped to. Yeah, like Levix just said, I want that server, but man, the power usage makes it a no. Actually, I don't necessarily know if it's the power so much as the noise it makes. So the downside of this server, I'm not going to play this video, but kind of get to the point here. You can see from this, no, that's the little doodads here. Come on, YouTube. They're effectively 1U servers, right? Inside this. Each one of those, I hate to zip back and forth between myself and whatever. I just want to get back the photo there. if I look back at this, they're effectively 1U servers. And because of that, what you end up doing is having a very, very high resistance for those fans to get through, right? So they have to push through. And so the real culprit in this host, frankly, is the fact that it is so damn loud. So loud, in fact, that I just don't. Noise is a sacrifice. Yakto, welcome, Yakto. It says noise is the sacrifice you make for density. 100%. We were looking at a high density frame a few shows back in the after hours show, and there was one that looked really promising, but then someone put the YouTube video of it playing and it sounded like a jet engine. I was like, nope. I don't have the Yocto dedicated data center away from the home sort of thing. In the garage, it's too much noise. Anyway, so I made the decision, friends. I made the decision to move on, and so I did. And I have now, this box is still in the rack, mind you. It hasn't been pulled out yet. I don't know what to do with it. You guys feel free to tell me in the chat what you think I should do this, because it's got 8 sockets. It's got what, 512 gigs of RAM total, right? 128 per sled times 4. You get it. And I replaced it with this bad boy here. This guy, which you can kind of see in the middle here. This is I can't do that without it clicking away, but I'm going to do the slow scroll like this was intentional. This is a Dell R740XD, but really it's actually started its life as a VX Rail node, a P570F VX Rail node. And I filled it up with 23.84 terabyte read-intense SSDs and 4 U.2 800 gigabyte SAS SSDs for basically a tier 1 for high performance and then tier 2 for read intense. And this box, I don't know, it's been so long for me. This is gonna sound so ridiculous. So many drafts, the Minecraft server for the ages. It's been so long since I've had a modern Dell in my rack, because I kind of wholesale went to Supermicro like many people do, because there's less, I'm going to be frank, there's less bullshit if you go with Supermicro. I mean, we can ignore the shadiness of Supermicro as a corporation and stuff, but in the end, it's just hardware, right? And so you have less of the, this BMC compatibility, you get a computer. That's it. You get a server grade computer. But setting up, this is the iDRAC 9 interface for it. And I tell you what, guys, I feel like, compared to this is the good old fashioned Redfish Supermicro out of band management, right? That we're all familiar with. It's just so, Dell's really got a lock on the UI. That's all I'm saying. It's a really pretty interface. But this new node, this new system, and just look at all the prettiness here. This one's up and running. The quad node is off at the moment, but this system is running 2 Gold 6148 20 cores. So it's actually slower speed processors, right? These are 2.4 and the other box was 2.8, or excuse me, 2.6. But there's 40 cores for this host, 80 with hyper-threading, because this is a Gen 1 scalable, and that's a lot of cores. That's a lot of cores. And in theory, I can move this thing to a 2nd gen CPU and get a little bit more life out of it. Along with the 2 6148 sockets, got a lot of RAM in this box. There's 768 gigabytes of DDR4, 64 gigabyte modules, ECC modules. So there's a chunk of RAM in this thing, that's for sure. And I already talked about the storage in it. The thing that I just want to hit home is that it is so quiet. I realize, again, it's a 2U box. Like Yocto just said. Yocto says ILO over DRAC. I don't know, man. It feels, the HPE stuff feels icky still, even though they've changed their ways. But iDRACs are nice. This is a nice interface. It's pretty. It's nice and pretty. But it's so quiet. I put this thing together, stuffed it in the rack, plugged it in, hit the go buto, and I couldn't hear it over the din of the existing fans running in the server cabinet. And it's just like, I don't know. Like, I part of me, oh, and as an aside, the old box here, you can, I'm surprised no one's mentioned this in the chat yet, but I can use the IPMI config tool on a typical Supermicro server and say, make your fans quiet. That works on, basically that works on pretty much all IPMI platforms. Or even Dell, I can use the same IPMI config tool and do it. But the problem with the quad node is that the BMC is independent because there's each one of those nodes on this guy right here, boop, and it has its own BMC, its own out-of-band management built into it, right? They're all separate and independent. Fan control is not controlled by the units. Each one of those units are hot swappable. You can yank it out, shove a new one in, or whatever. You can replace stuff on the fly without shutting down the entire node itself, the host itself. And that means that you can't control the fan speed of the BMC. It just does not do it. So no matter how much I would love to turn that down and get it quiet, it can't. Antitex was mentioning that the Dells are nice and quiet, but lack the M.2 support. Yeah, I mean, you have to. That's where those Dell, what do they call those things? The boss cards come into play, right? This host technically does have. I don't know if it'll show it on here. Let's see, inventory. Will it show it? Hardware inventory. I'm waiting for it to load. Please stand by. Please stand by. I like the music just kind of cut at the right time. Let's see. No, that's just going to show that. Yeah, it's not going to show the storage on this. So, how about I just go to storage? What do you say, guys? Those are old error messages. Physical disks. Virtual disks? Let's see if we got that. So yeah, so there's this one right here, this VDR1. This is technically a boss card that's in their SATA because the first gen boss cards from Dell were SATA, right? So they're just, they're what? M plus B key, B plus M key, SATA SSDs, they're on that. And it's a RAID, it's a mirror. So, but physical disk wise, yeah, look at all these. Just, oh, I can only show. Part of me is like, oh, look at me, look at all these jobs. But again, just so much quieter, and the user experience is just so much more enjoyable. Like, just I can't help it. But it's only a single node. Currently, this system that I've got going on here is actually running. I threw VergeOS 26.1 on it, and given that a honest go with a more modern platform, and gotta say, so. I guess the final point of that is, what do we do, friends? What do you guys think I should do with that quad node? I'm at the point where, I mean, saying this means that someone's going to call me out on it, but like, I'd almost be willing to donate it someplace. So you guys let me know in the chat, someplace like that. Aragorn, I was just talking about you, man, in the early part of the show and the therapy. The therapy starts at 6:30. You know that. You're there every day. Hi, I'm Aragorn, and I am a administrator. Not physical therapy, emotional therapy. That's the therapy we're talking about. Anyway, let me know what you guys think I should do with that host, because it's now, I hate to throw this stuff away. Not because I bought it, because I did buy it. That's not the point. I used my own real money to buy it, but just because it feels like throwing it away is like giving up on my baby. My baby. So if you guys can think up good ideas, let me know. Get in our Discord after the show and tell me what I should do with it. Send it down to Arizona to make someone else's day a little louder. You could do that too. Are you really home laying if your fans are quiet? Yeah. That's true. Well, I don't know if there's that much money in it, honestly. I mean, there's money in the RAM because they're 32 gig modules, but not a ton. What are 32 gig modules going for? Let's play the eBay game, since it was brought up. eBay.com. Those are 32 DDR4 ECC. I think they were 2166. I have to go back and look here. No, I mean, they're used. They're going for that guy's crazy. I'm not sure why that's not loading in, but are you kidding me? Are you kidding me, dog? Oh, I'm not even sure on my screen. You guys. That's why Brandon's not here. So the eBay game says that anywhere from 150 to 225. So that's quite the... I learned this new thing about eBay. If you go to sold items, you can actually see what people paid for things. So 150 bucks is really where they're at. I'm going to buy this one right here. I want to buy this one that was sold on August 13th. Someone's like, you know what? I'm going to get the RAM that's laying on somebody's blanket on their bed. I'm sure that it's good. Who doesn't want that? Anyway, so there's, you do the math. Taco Lopez, eBay game, I'm already disqualified on port. Yeah, there's stash it. Yeah. Okay, so the general consensus is hold on to it. But then it just sits idly in the rack. I should take it out. I need a rack for all my unused rack gear. That's what I'm thinking. Anyway, so there's that. That host is gonna get replaced, and like I said, I couldn't be happier with this one so far. She's up and charging away, and like I said, even though it lists itself as a VX Rail, it's an R740 XD. Those are my drives, by the way. I think I showed you that. Anyway, moving on. I want to do something different this time. Typically, when we do this, we typically go to the main topics first, but I think I'm going to hit some news. I can store at your house. Thanks, but the chat, I love the chat. Let's move on. So I want to start with the news this time because we got some pretty interesting ones. This one here, I'm glad that Aragorn is in the chat because this is something that he had said a while back, and maybe in passing when we were having a conversation generally, which was like, maybe the cost of resources in terms of like RAM and storage will make hardware or software vendors think about being more efficient with their use. Well, turns out it seems to be slowly sinking in. RAM prices are finally forcing companies to be more efficient. Specifically, in this case, Microsoft, who there was a leak of a new laptop that is coming out, and that laptop is 8 gigabytes of RAM. You can imagine why. And that Microsoft is working on a Windows optimizations for Windows 11 to make it more efficient. And to do so, you don't get Copilot. As Linux just jumped to, the Copilot requires you to have at least 16 gigs of RAM. Because you know why? Because they're probably loading a local model into your memory there and just wasting your excess memory storage. But interesting story. So Microsoft is actively optimizing Windows 11 to run better on 8 gigabytes of RAM computers. But those optimizations do not include Copilot plus AI features. There's a nice big gap there. This leak here we're looking at was the Lenovo's IdeaPad Slim 14 and 15-inch devices with specs that show 8 gigabytes. And they'll be officially labeled as non-Copilot, which I know that for the people in the chat here is gonna make people happy. We just had to let AI kill AI. Is that really what happened? Yeah, I think the snake just ate its tail. Right there. That's what happened. Anyway, so the thing is Microsoft has to do this, right? They're prioritizing performance over AI, which is amazing. AI is working on it. You got it. For example, this article goes on to say that the weather app on Windows 11 can burn up to 1.6 gigabytes of RAM on its own. So obviously, it just goes to show you like how much effort has not been paid into making systems efficient up to this point, right? And like I said, it's been talked about many a time in the past, like, maybe if we all took the time to make things run better on what we had versus just be like brute forcing it with hardware, maybe that would be the case. And it's the weather is taking all my RAMs. That's right. Maybe we're now at the point where they have to do it. And they didn't do it because it was the right thing to do. They did it because that's the only thing they can do. And that says something. I think you'd all agree that we all know. Let's just cut the BS. We all know that the way that capitalism tends to work is like you don't move until you have to move, until some sort of force pushes you to do so. Even if it's the right move, we've all seen it many times played out in our lives. The right move would have been to be more efficient with the resources that you had. Instead, we could throw resources at it because it was cheap. Now those resources are expensive, and now they have to spend the effort to make it more efficient. But it's a crazy thing. Here's the example. I just said the weather app. Windows can use up to 1.6 gigabytes of RAM in certain scenarios. Don't use the weather app. That's all I got to say. Yeah. So, oh, this is amazing. The Dell XPS 13, which is the current, which I have put hands on recently because it's looking at it from a enterprise work perspective, which is currently a close rival to the MacBook Neo, can use up to 70% of its 8 gigabytes of RAM without running any user launch programs. Efficiency. Not efficient. Anyway, I found that fascinating. It made it's so dumb, but it was reading this article and I'm just like, oh my God, this is it. This is snake eating its tail thing. That's that sort of deal with AI. I'm like, when I kept seeing the RAM this, I was like, you know what we really need, guys? What we should have. And I threw this at my local AI server. We need to create an only RAMs website where it's only pictures of RAM in provocative installations and charge people to look at it because you can't buy it. So maybe you pay a little bit of money every month to be a subscriber to only RAMs. It probably already exists. You know what? Hold on. I'm going to do this. No, we're going to YOLO this. We're going to go to onlyrams.com. I sure hope that this is not something, you know what? I changed my mind. This is a risky click I'm not prepared to do. I'll check later. You can check on your own. Anyway, so I threw AI at it and said, AI, make me an only RAMs website. Don't do that. Yeah, Antitex is right. Again, that's a risky click. Oh, heck no. Oh boy. I love it. You guys are now catching up. Again, Brand's not here to protect me. Anyway, so, made a website that you can sign up to look at pictures of RAM that we can't afford. What can I say? In hindsight, maybe not a good idea to do that. Cancel his whole channel. I didn't. My better judgment kicked in. Anyway, love it. Anyway, let's move on. More news to talk about as we tear through the hour here. This is not tech news in the same general sense, but I saw this and I wanted to share it because I find it terrifying and hilarious at the same time. We've talked in the past about robots that are coming to take our gerbs, but also coming to kill us in our sleep, right? Like humanoid robots roaming the streets. We're not talking about drones with bombs strapped to them. We're talking about robots. Unitree's humanoid claims to outrun Usain Bolt and jump 6.5 feet vertically. And they brought the receipts. I want to show you this video, but basically here's the TLDR. The Chinese robotics firm Unitree has built a humanoid robot called Superman. That's it right there. Superman claims a top speed of around 28 miles an hour, which we're going to look at. And it's registered. That would have been a great grab for sure. Anyway, they claim the robot can run up to 28 miles an hour, faster than Usain Bolt's 2009 record of 27.8 miles per hour. So it's the fastest bipedal. It's fastest robot. That's all we know. And it can jump 6.5 feet into the air, which beats the human record of around 6 feet. Vertical jump, guys. We're going to see it in a second. The article goes on to talk about how it was built in record time, just over 3 months. It has short legs. Its legs are about 2.7 feet in length. It's, I'm just going to get to it. By the way, I want to show you this right now. So I'm not going to show you this video. I've got the other video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the music and I'm going to press play here and prepare your bodies. I'm not kidding. Here it comes. Okay, it can jump. It can jump. Oh, that's not playing very well. We'll run it through. All right, let's do this. Let's try this again. Let's just view it from the website here. See if I can make it a little smoother. Oh my God, the button. All right, so let's full screen this thing if we can see it. Okay, there you can see it running faster. So this thing runs so derpy to me when it's running, it's like, it's just, it looks like it's, God, all right, look at it go. It's like, they're so excited about it. Now imagine that thing chasing you down a dark alley in the middle of the night. Yes. So back to this. It has got to be the silliest, most derpiest thing. It can haul some serious ass, but like, I don't know if I think if I heard it running at me and it was just like running, like it runs a little bit like Mario from the Nintendo 64, right? It's just like just hauling, it just needs like just to put a Mario mask on it. It's me. And I think I'd probably stop and laugh at it. And then when I realized it was there to kill me, then I would be dead. But for that moment. The chat. Sean, welcome. So Jason said, the tech is cool, but Skynet happens because humans suck. That is true. Leavix, the little robot that can. Crow Dayton, this is why I conceal carry. And Leavix disagrees. He thinks you're going to need more than a concealed carry to take something like that. But it is stunning to see this little robot that can. I mean, like I said, it's coming for your. It's coming for you. It's coming for all of us. Look at that leap, that vertical leap, and it's just like derp, 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 derp. And it's squealing its way by. I don't know. This will be the one thing, if I may, guys, this will be the one thing that when the robots do come to take us and kill us, we'll be like, yep, we saw this one coming. Like there will be no surprise when the robots turn on us, because we've been building them to do this to us for a very long time. And that was, seeing that was just, if they make them look silly, we'll be more disarmed and more willing to let them get close to us than before they kill us. That's what I'm saying. Anyway, it's a impressive feat. But other things to note on this, Unitree, the company, has produced about 18,000 humanoid robots and shipped almost 6,000 in the first half of 26 alone. So they are the #1 robot manufacturer. And when they're done coming for your gerbs, they're going to come for your life. But we'll hear them coming, because I don't know if you heard that thing when it was squealing by. It's just like, wee, 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 wee. You're going to hear that coming. But it'll outrun you. Anyway, let's move on. One last news thing to talk about, because we like to talk about security around y'all. This guy, hacker, claims 3.6 million Azure account records stolen from major companies. This was quite the interesting story to read. So a threat actor going by the name of the Hat Man claims to have, he's been advertising the sale of, since July 31st, of what is described as 3.64 million employee records allegedly pulled directly from Microsoft Azure tenants from multiple Fortune 500 companies. Those companies include McDonald's, 1.7 million records, TCS Tata at 800,000 records, Vodafone at 425 records, HCL Technologies at 250,000 records, Intercontinental Hotels at 165,000, Kyndryl at 170,000, Gap Incorporated at 80K, Hexaware at 20K, and Wyndham Hotels at 9K. So they've had cybersecurity experts have dug through it, and what they have found is pretty shocking. Hudson Rock is the name of the security analysts that have gone through the data, and the dumps have been confirmed that they contain foundational corporate directory attributes with clear Azure Entra tenant structure, including on Microsoft.com domains. They rate the data as high confidence, as authentic, though the exact exfiltration method is still unclear. It's lots of stuff. This is what you see. So McDonald's, full name, email, title, phone address. That's okay. I mean, it's not okay, but you know what I'm saying? It's better than like social security numbers and your ACH to deposit your checks. Same thing with Gap. You've got full email title. Does any of these have? They're all basically full email, employee ID, phone number, address. The Kyndryl guys at the bottom have employee accounts, service accounts. Boy, oh boy, the Kyndryl people down there right here, these guys, they need to be resetting some service accounts like crazy. Bleeping Computer, who posted this article, has attempted to contact these companies, but has not received responses for the publication. Some of these companies are claiming this is old data. Like, does it matter? Does it really matter that it's old data? Just asking for a friend. The data is the data. And anybody who's in Entra ID, Azure, name it whatever you want to call it, knows the sheer amount of information that's in it. Here's the Hatman's post, which is pretty great. He says, quote, "I'm selling McDonald's corporate internal employee dump download directly from Azure tenant using compromised credentials. Contains 1.7 million records." God, you can learn a lot about a company. You can get a lot farther into infiltration if you got that access to that information. So it's good data. So if you happen to be one of the people watching this who are from these companies, start changing your stuff. Especially these guys down here, the Kyndryl service accounts. Like, service accounts in Active Directory are like with regular user accounts. I'm going to get super security nerdy here, and you guys just have to forgive me here. When you've got Active Directory and you've got user accounts, typically you front those user accounts with multi-factor authentication, right? Whether that's through Azure's MFA, Microsoft's MFA, or it's through a third-party MFA, you've got like checks and balances and different layers of things to get through, so that if someone tries to authenticate, they get a prompt on a phone, they have to type in the code on the website that they get from the phone, and away you go, right? But service accounts are really hard to put MFA in front of because they're, by nature of the term service account, they're meant to be an automated process that just triggers and does a thing. So if that information is available, you want to get on that. That's not good. All right. But good news, the bad guys are still at it. So let's move on. I want to talk about now the thing that I was excited to kind of share with you guys. And forgive me for waxing poetic here, but I think there's some really cool information in this. So I released that 2 year after Broadcom video, right? And for all intents and purposes, it was quite as successful for yours truly. Almost, actually, it's probably over it now, but I think I hit like almost 200,000, something like that, which is, for me, that's huge, right? But on top of that, on top of the 200,000 views, there's all these people who are sharing information about their experience, where they went, what they did, how much they were going to have to pay. Like, and as I was going through that data, as this was happening and reading these things and trying to keep up, guys, I try to keep up with that stuff. I was realizing that, man, there's a ton of actual real data. And maybe that data has some information in it. So I do what every enterprising YouTuber does with a cache of information like that. I downloaded all those comments. I then had to read all those comments, which is I mean, that's fine. They're roughly, I think there were total like 800 some comments, and 700 plus of those were actual like qualitative comments that had information like, oh, we moved to this, or I migrated this, or my company did this, or I got charged this, like all that kind of stuff. Took that in, I coded it in, and then I fed it into our personal Lord and Savior, Claude Code, and I built a website with that information. Now, I plan on making a video about this, but I like to share with you guys ahead of time. So let's take a look at it. But first, I just want to talk about this comment here that I'm going to share on the screen here. Might be my favorite comment of the. So as an aside, when people say shitty things on YouTube, I think that they assume that YouTubers see it. And I just want you guys to know that that's rarely the case. YouTube has gotten real good about, because of AI, divining intent and the message and then being like, yeah, this is not productive, let's go hide it. But this guy made me laugh. Stupid internet people said to me, and this was a hidden comment, it was held, you can see the word held up there, yet another useless douche tuber I feel honored. With their face plus pointing at nothing in a thumbnail. How original. Just think about how many more clicks you'll get now that you look exactly like every other unimaginative lemming on DoucheTube. Crying smiley face. Carl Dayton. Oh, sorry, I was drunk and drunk posted. Oh man, you know, that's I would let that slide. I'd probably, but I think that's hilarious. But there were a whole bunch of other comments that were less intelligent. I don't know why, but I think that I should add to my LinkedIn from now on, instead of just YouTuber, I should put comma douchetuber as well. But it never saw the light of day other than seeing it on here. So, and I don't usually feed the trolls. Troll feeding always leads to infection. So don't do that. But all right, so let's talk about this. Let's go through this. So I fed all this data into, and I'm gonna take this. This is basically a full encapsulated web page, and I'm gonna host it on the Two Guys Tech TV as well, so that you can, if you're interested, know. But by no means am I here to imply to you guys that this is empirical data. I want to be clear. This is a self-selecting group of individuals who watched a YouTube video and felt compelled enough to share information about their journey, for lack of a better word. So this information is self-selecting. You're going to find a lot of people, because the video is about, you know, the Broadcom VMware thing, you're going to have obviously a lot of leaning towards, I hate Broadcom, right? But there's a lot of people just, because it had a huge view. So out of this, 713 comments, hand-coded, which I did. It was a lot of fun. And this is actually a little old data, since I basically have a rerunning process of polls and updates. So 84% of them were utilized. So let's get to it. So this is the data you're seeing here is a mix of different things. So 713 comments. Out of those, there were 82,100 VMs and hosts or workloads that people declared on their own. So again, take it for a grain of salt. Some people might say, I run a massive MSP with 20,000 VMs, and that data gets in there. So again, not empirical data, not a double-blind study, but just human beings. The median increase cited across the entire, all of the people who said that they got their increases and opted to tell the whole world about it, was around 400%. That it runs the gamut from like 5,400% down to 15%. So that gives you a kind of good thing. And 15 people in all those comments say that they stayed on VMware. All right, so let's look at the data. So counting anyone running a platform now or actively executing a migration to it. The colors here show organization scale, whether the commenter, where the commenter revealed it. The darker segments are unstated. I hope you guys can see this in the color here. Can I make this full screen? I don't know how to do that. That's Brandon Steele. Sorry. I'm the small. So Proxmox, as you can imagine here, Proxmox took the lion's share of the people self-reporting that that's what they moved to, right? 51, which was the largest sampling there. And you can see down here, broken down by enterprise, education, SMB, mid-market, MSP consultant, Homelab individual, and unstated. Hyper-V being the solid second. And if you remember in the video, I will just state this for the record. I have biases against Hyper-V, right? I state those biases in the video, so it's not like this is like, what? But a large quantity of people who self-reported as Hyper-V being the second largest place that they went to in terms of comments. There's another interesting graph we're gonna look at in a second, which kind of goes the opposite direction in terms of like this is counting each individual who said something, not workloads, which is another part of this. VMware, we had 24 people say that they across these different categories. Nutanix comes in number 4, KVM raw, which is just, there are people in there like, why don't you just run KVM? That's in there. Interesting information all the way down to OpenStack at the bottom and then everything else, which is kind of like the collection of everything. So this is a segmentation breakdown of enterprise deployments versus people who are small businesses, MSPs, and Homelab. So the people who claimed that they moved to OpenShift, 100% of them were enterprise-sized businesses. No one self-represented that were smaller than large enterprise. Nutanix, roughly 90%. VMware, 55%. Hyper-V, dead center. So you had enterprises and small, medium businesses. The KVM roster there. Proxmox, mostly in the small, medium MSP side and the Homelab, and not in the enterprise. So again, self-reported data. And XCP&G, again, very heavy in the SMB, MSP, and Homelab with a little bit of enterprise. This one is the counter argument to the top, which is where most of the workloads that people claimed went. And a vast majority of those people who self-reported said that they moved the largest quantity of workloads to Nutanix. So while Nutanix was represented least, they represented the most said workloads. Again, this is based on humans, right? Next, Proxmox, Public Cloud, OpenStack, Oracle. Man, pour one out for those poor people. And then still undecided, Hyper-V, OpenShift, VMware, and moving on and so forth. And this is across a total of declared 82,100 workloads. That's a ton of workloads. This is one of my favorites. This is a sentiment chart, like the people who said positive things about their platforms. Proxmox again, representing here, right? Can I make this bigger? I can. I hope that's a little easier. So Proxmox comes in with the highest positive sentiment, followed by General KVM, XCP&G, Nutanix, OpenShift, dwindling down. Oracle got -2, Public Cloud got -3. This one right here, HPE Morpheus, I had to dig through the comments. I think there's a real story here. People are not necessarily very happy with it. And of course, VMware. I was surprised it was only 17. And then more data. Basically, going into how many times people had nostalgia for dead vendors, which is, I feel like it's some member berries around here. That's not negative enough for Oracle. I agree, Leverix. That's very true. Lots of comments like Windows Shop, so Hyper-V it is, open source or nothing. But a lot of really interesting, valuable information in there. A lot of people, 4 people complaining about Nutanix price creep. That's another good data point there. Followed by this, this is self-reported, and the commenter. I hope they don't mind being on blast, but they did publicly disclose their things. Basically we get what they said their price increase was going to be from VMware and where they landed, right? So this 5,400%, 5,400% was a guy who went from $600 for 3 years of ESXi. He must have been on Essentials, right? VMware Essentials. You remember that licensing, and that became a $33,000 renewal quote. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. It is. It's robbery. I agree. But anyway, really fascinating, interesting information that I'm happy to share with you, friends, because this is, I think, the first time I've had like a quantity of comments that, 2 years later from something like really gives you a good picture into it, because there's the content that I made that I researched based on all the news articles, all the, what I'm going to call it, just like publicly available data about what happened 2 years on. And then there's the people, and the people rarely ever get truly represented because it's always enterprises that are getting there and saying what they're going to say, right? So this was a cool thing to be able to see that. And then the people, there's people deciding how much they want to communicate about the amount of workloads that they moved. But yeah, it's truly insane. I agree. It is highway robbery. But as an aside, for both Jason and Leavix, back in the day, VMware had this really great basic license for vCenter that was called VMware Essentials. It was like $600, and that gave you 3 hosts. It gave you API access, so you could run Veeam backups and do all that kind of stuff. And it was very basic. You didn't get a bunch of the bells and whistles, but you couldn't even vMotion. You couldn't migrate live workloads between the hosts, but you could manage all of them in vCenter. You got your own vCenter, and it was great. And it's what used to run a lot of people's poor man VDI and poor man stacks, because if you don't need to move workloads around while they're alive, you can move them around while they're off, mind you. But when they're alive, if you don't need that critical sort of thing, it was a hell of a deal. and that's obviously dead. And so that matters. But I think the last thing to point out here is these are the people. The last bit here. Let me switch over to a smaller view so you can see. Is this it? Oh, it's so hard for me to use this platform. I was asked to look at SUSE Harvester, Rancher, CloudStack, Overt, Sangfor, which is that's more commonplace in Asia. I had to look it up. There are people who talked about using VirtualBox, and I was like, ain't nobody looking at VirtualBox. Let's scroll down here for an enterprise platform, right? For the local machine, sure. Raw KVM, Oracle, Incus, right? We know Incus because it's what's running the virtualization in true NAS scale these days. Virtuoso, H3C, Kubernetes, StoreMagic, you get the point. And this one here, I'm not sure like Nutanix CE shows it because CE is just the community edition of Nutanix. But nonetheless, and then there's some data points. So this will be, I'll put a link, I'll share this information when it's up online because I think it's super fascinating. Good, worth a good look. Let's go back to here and here. And yeah, we're close to time. So I got videos coming, guys. They're in the pipeline. It's just been real busy. I can't help it. But so we'll bring this to a close. I get 2 times a live show to tell you we're in about 15 minutes from here. I'm going to tear all this down. Go join our Discord. It's free. It's full of great people. I mean, everybody who's in this chat right now is one of those great people, and a good place to talk and catch up and just complain about the way things are, and not just complain, but like have good constructive conversations about home labbing and the day job and all that stuff. So live shows after this here in about 15 minutes, or not live show, excuse me, the after show, and we'll catch you guys next week, and hopefully Brandon will be here to rein me in and keep me from potentially risky clicking and ending my YouTube career. I think that Antisec said that it's not available for purchase, but that would be something to purchase, right? It just rhymes. Only Rams. I don't know. I only got so many jokes, guys. Anyway, friends, we will catch you next week. Thanks for watching. And if I don't talk to you, stay safe. And if it's hot where you are, cool off. And if it's cool where you are, stay warm. Talk to you later.